All right. Welcome, everybody. Really great to have you here. My name is Matt Peterson. I'm the Executive Director of NAGDA. And we're excited to have a new member orientation. We're excited to have all you on board. We want to talk a little bit today about your membership and how you can get the most out of it and what NAGDA is and does. So if you go to the next slide. I like the fade. So NAGDA is an organization that was founded by plan sponsors in 1980 by all of the folks like you. Originally started as a state-based organization, but we've expanded to include any type of public sector defined contribution plan in the country. So we're nonprofit, non-stock corporation. Most of you may be familiar with 501c3 for nonprofits. We're a 501c6. Which means that we're allowed to do some lobbying, which I'll talk about in a little bit. As I mentioned, NAGDA's government members oversee plans for all types of government entities. We have about 64 state-based organizations. There are about 150 that represent localities, and those run the gamut from counties and cities to public safety, down to transportation, utilities, higher education, schools, hospitals, all kinds of things. If somebody runs a plan that's related to it, they're probably a NAGDA member somewhere along the way. So about 250 organizations, government organizations. That said, a lot of the state plans kind of function as multi-employer plans. Some of you may be in that category, and often have participants from many other governments participating in their plans. So we estimate that somewhere around 7,000 governments across the country are represented among our membership. So pretty good reach in 49 of the states. Our mission and vision are pretty simple, really. Our mission is to do three things. We provide thought leadership, interaction, and legislative advocacy for all of you. So a fairly simple mandate, just making sure that you get value out of the collective of all of your voices across the country, and that's raised to the federal level and the industry level. Our vision is to develop a network of all of you that are well informed, not only the DC plan administrators, but also the industry professionals, and we hope that you work together to provide America's public sector workers with a secure financial future. So you may have noticed that a part of that talks about the industry professionals as well. NAGDA is a little unique in that we have both government members and industry members. So your service providers are allowed to be members of our organization. The reason that we do that is really we all benefit from their thought leadership and ideas, and from their involvement in the organization, which I think you'll see as you go along with your membership. Some really great contributions from the consultants, from the asset managers, from the record keepers, understanding what's going on in the public DC space beyond your own plan. So next slide. We're really based around, as I mentioned, three strategic goals, and they're super simple. So we break them down into just one word. The first one is inform, keeping you informed of what's going on across the industry. The second is to connect, to help all of you connect to your peers and to connect you to industry members as well and understand what's available. And also to advocate. So we advocate for the future of public plans. Often our advocacy efforts are focused around IRS codes 457, 403B, 401A, and really just making sure that those codes are as advantageous to you and simple to follow as possible. So we spend a lot of time talking to the different entities on Capitol Hill to help your voice be heard at the federal level. Next slide. So let's talk about those for a little bit and what maybe some more concrete information about what that looks like. So for streamlining and modernizing our information, we provide some online resources and tools that we hope can help you in your day-to-day tasks. That's really our goal, is that if you're sitting in your office and you have a question, you go, hey, I don't know much about plan documents or investments, or I have a question about auto enrollment, you can come to our website and get the information that you need. So the easiest way to do that is through our resource library. And Carly, who you can see on the video, she'll walk you through what the website looks like and where to go towards the end of the session here today. But the resource library is really simple to use. You can search, there's drop downs for any category that you want to look at, whether it be any of those I mentioned or anything pretty much that you can come up with in the DC space. There's also a word search. So if you just want to search a title for a word and you go, hey, I need something on investments, you can just type that in, and anything we've ever done in the past 15 years or so on investments, any publication, any conference presentation, anything like that, you'll find in that resource library. So it's a very consolidated resource for you to go check out. We also have a partnership that is just getting underway with an organization that you may have heard of called the Employee Benefits Research Institute, EBRI. They are kind of the premier thought leader institute in the benefits space. And what they were able to do is help us to create a database of public DC plans. So there's really two aspects of the partnership. One is that we do research. We're the only organization that does research specific to public sector retirement plans, especially DC. So you see a lot of research out there about 401k plans. We realize that doesn't always apply to you, and it's a little frustrating sometimes to see just 401k information out there that may or may not be all that helpful. So we're developing research in-house that speaks specifically to public sector plans, and all of the information comes specifically from our public sector database. We also have an option if you want to participate, so you can participate in this and contribute your data, where you can benchmark your plan as well. So we have a custom portal that we developed where you can go in, and once you log in, it's a single sign-on through your NAGDA login. You can see your data, assuming that you contributed, and you can look at aggregates of different plans across the country. So if, say, you're a 457 plan and you participated in our PRL, we call it the Pearl, you can go in, log in, go into our data portal. Your plan level data will come up, and you can compare yourself to, say, all the other 457 plans that are in the database to see how your investments stack up, how your participants' contributions, balances, loans, all those kind of things. There are about 235 public sector plans that are participating right now, and that represents about 3 million participants as of end of year 2020. So we're going to start our 2021 data pull pretty soon. We work directly with your record keepers. You don't actually have to do anything other than sign an authorization form. So we think it's a really great way, not only to pool data for research purposes, but also for all of you to have access to some unique benchmarking material so you can verify how you're doing. All right, next slide. And if you have any questions, feel free to either throw your hand up or just start talking along the way, or we can save them for the end and we can talk to you then as well. The second goal that we have is to connect all of you, and we frame it as connecting you throughout the year, whether that be online or in person. We've moved, as we all know, to a very virtual format for a lot of this stuff, which is great because it allows all of you to connect without having to fly somewhere, which we know isn't always the easiest thing to do on a government budget. So we have virtual events throughout the year. We'll always have thought leadership webinars. Some of those will be based on the research that we do. Some will be in partnership with the private companies that we work with. Others are just other organizations that may have done some research in the space. We also do group discussions. Those are kind of helpful if you're just looking for someone to help you with what's going on in your plan. We call those our thought leader or our NAGDA exchanges, connect exchanges. So be on the lookout for those. Really, it's a format like this without the slides. You'll come in, there's no set agenda, there's no set topic or anything like that. You just come in at a set time, meet with some other plan sponsors and ask them whatever is on your mind, or talk about whatever would be helpful to your plan at the time. We also have what we're calling our Connect conversations, and those will be usually me interviewing somebody from around the industry on a specific topic. So those are a little more structured in that they have a certain thing that they're talking about, and it'll be usually just one person, but it's also interactive so that any of you could come in if you wanted to ask questions to either me or the person that I'll be speaking with. We record those, we put them on a podcast, so you can go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and listen to them afterwards. But it's an opportunity to kind of dive a little deeper into some of the topics in the space and get some expert help from the really smart people that we have on the industry side of our membership. An example, the last one that we did was related to fiduciary responsibility and retirement income products. So I'm guessing that many of you have heard a lot of conversation recently about income products. It's a very different conversation in the public space because most of you have a DB plan, and so you may or may not actually care. And so, our focus was really on that nuance and whether retirement income products make sense, and from a fiduciary lens, how you can think about them as a public sector plan sponsor. We also have our annual conference. We hope that you all can come. It's September 18th to 21st in Baltimore, which is where Rhonda's from, who you're going to hear from in a little bit. So lovely Baltimore. We hope that you can come out. It's a really great way to meet people. The virtual events are terrific. It's a good way to pop in and pop out, but the conference is really a great way to get to know people and develop some relationships that can help you out throughout your time in this industry. We created a new in-person event this year. We call it our DC Fly-In. We know that many of you don't get involved on the legislative side, but for those of you who can, we think it's a really great way to connect with your representatives. So you'll come to DC, we'll give you a little training on how to speak to congressional staff, and you can go and talk about your plan and why it's important to public sector employees and how we can make it better. So it's a really great event. We're having that actually in about 2 months, early June. So if you can join us for that, it would be terrific. You'll get to speak with some people who are from your either your senators or your congresspeople, and they really love to talk to folks that they know. They care a little bit about what I have to say, but they care a whole lot about your plan and how it affects people in their districts or in their state. So it's really helpful to our efforts and really helpful to your plan as we try to improve those. And finally, our online tools. If you have a question, you can always just hop on our forum, and we have a few. We have 3, a government-only forum, an industry-only forum, and an open forum. Just be cautious if you use the open forum. Realize that a question that you ask can be, anybody in our industry membership will see that. But if you hop on any of those forums and have a question, you can throw just about anything on there. If you need just a quick response for something, if you need an example document, any of those kind of things. As you go on with your membership, you may notice that every once in a while you get an email through the forum for somebody looking for help from the group. If you're willing, get in touch with them and help them out. It's a really great way to kind of get some immediate feedback if you can't wait for an exchange, or kind of would rather cast a really wide net to see if somebody can help you out with a plan that's specific to your plan. Also, we have a member directory. So if you want to get in touch with any other NAGDA member, you can hop on the directory. You can search by state, by name, by city. There are a whole bunch of different ways to try to find someone. They're connected to email addresses, often phone numbers, and so you can get in touch with them right away. And next slide. Finally, I mentioned our legislative advocacy. So we do contract with the Groom Law Group, which some of you may be familiar with, to do our legislative advocacy. They help us develop our legislative priorities along with our legislative committee, which we'll talk a little more about in later on. And our goal, like we said, is to advocate for public sector retirement plans, DC retirement plans, and making them better on behalf of all of you. If you ever come across something, and we'll solicit every year, but if you come across something, you say, hey, the rules on this need to change. Almost all of our priorities were developed directly from members. A member would get in touch with us, either the legislative committee or staff or the board, and say, hey, if this was changed in public sector plans, it would help us out. And we'll take that into consideration. We'll run it through the legislative committee, and hopefully it can make our priorities list. We also are developing some new tools, which we'll talk about a little later, to help all of you with things like advocating for auto enrollment in your state, if that's something that you're inclined to do, or positions such as our position on things like student loans or emergency savings or things like that. Again, I mentioned the fly-in. This is a new program, so you're coming into it at a good time. It's an opportunity to meet. The entire board will be there. There'll be some industry members there. The entire staff will be there. We have, I think, about a dozen or so people signed up to come right now. And we're hoping that we can grow that in the next couple of months before we head to DC in June 7th and 8th to advocate for the next retirement bill, which you may have seen the House just passed the secure retirement bill. We're hoping that it continues to move through the Senate and may see some retirement legislation passed later this year. So it's a really good time to head to DC and speak to your representatives. All right. So enough from me. We know one of the things you'll hear us talk about a lot at NAGDA is that we know the main thing you want to do is get in touch with the other folks who are doing the thing that you're doing every day. So we asked one of our favorite members to come along and speak with you today. Her name is Rhonda Bell. I'll read her title. It's an awfully long one. She is the Executive Director and Secretary of the Board of Trustees for the Maryland Teachers and State Employees Supplemental Retirement Plans. So it's a mouthful, but it's a very important role. Our member from the Baltimore area, where the conference will be this year in the state of Maryland. So Rhonda, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Matt. It's great to be with you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, Rhonda, just some real simple questions. And if anybody has anything, if you have any questions for Rhonda, now's the time. She's been very involved in the organization, which has been a great help to us. So, easy one off the top. Why did you join NAGDA, and why did it appeal to you to be a member?
Well, I joined the MSRP, which is the shorthand for very long title of my organization, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. So January 2021, I assumed this position, and our organization is actually a part of NAGDA. So I kind of came in and by default, became a member of NAGDA. The supplemental retirement plan is the option in the state of Maryland that provides the defined contribution option for state employees. So it was a no-brainer for me to join.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you here. And you have not only joined the organization, but you have joined a committee as well. So you're on our legislative committee, which is one of our most important committees, especially this year. It's tough, I would imagine. I know that, anything these days where you're asking for more time out of someone's day is a big ask. And so, we're always soliciting for volunteers, whether it be for committees or different projects that we have. Why did you decide to get involved with NAGDA beyond just being a member?
Well, the legislative committee was attractive to me for a couple reasons. First of all, because I had been with the state of Maryland prior to transferring to this agency, I was familiar with being involved in legislation and getting legislation passed on the state level. And because we have an interest in hopefully dealing with auto enrollment here in Maryland and getting that passed, fingers crossed, the legislative committee for NAGDA was also a no-brainer for me. It was something that I knew that I could jump into and try to add some value to, and also learn a lot in the process.
That's great. Yeah, the auto enrollment group for the rest of you has been a really important subgroup for us. So what it's doing is, and it was actually kind of Rhonda's idea for us to put it together. She had come to me and said, hey, we have a chance to pass an auto enrollment law next year. Do you have any resources, or can you provide any resources that will help? And while we have, papers about it and we have some information about it, we didn't really have any specific tools that a plan sponsor could use to try to get a law passed. So we thought it was a really good idea to develop those, and who better to lead that effort than Rhonda herself. So they're going to develop some model language and some data tools. Rhonda, what else is going to be in that is going to be helpful to your
A
effort?
toolkit, so an auto enrollment toolkit that will have talking points and research, things that would be very helpful as supports to those who want to also take this on in their own organization, states. Primarily for me, it was for other states, but of course, any NAGDA member should be able to use it. I would think that one of the main things would be looking for barriers. So a lot of times when you go into trying to get legislation drafted, you're so busy looking at, all the people who are going to be on your side, but you kind of forget who is going to not be on your side. So who is going to be at the table opposing your legislation? So you kind of want to counteract whatever they're going to come to the table with and kind of be preemptive in what you do. So a toolkit, I think, is going to be comprehensive and something that's going to add a lot of value to all the NAGDA members who are interested in those topics.
Great. Yeah, and we're always looking for those type of ideas. If any of you, same thing, if any of you have hurdles that you're facing or the things that you're trying to get accomplished, somebody out there has probably done it. Auto enrollment is one that a few states have fought through. We actually have a map on our website that shows all the states that have auto enrollment laws passed. And it's not as many as you would think. It's about half total, and only 9 states have it for all of their public employees. So and those that have tried, it has been a lot of work, and that kind of corporate knowledge exists in NAGDA, and it's really the whole reason we exist is to get that to all of you. So auto enrollment's one thing. What about other ways that NAGDA's helped in your day-to-day activities, Rhonda?
I would say over the past year, I have participated in several of the peer-to-peer connect conversations, and I found them very helpful because they have a kind of a not super structured format. So what was very helpful would be just to be in these conversations with my peers, people from all over the country, and you're allowed to just submit a topic. So you might have a topic such as auto enrollment, and you might say, hey, has anyone else gone through this? Does anyone have model legislation? What has been your experience, positive, negative? And you just kind of have a conversation with whoever's on the Zoom on that particular day. And I really enjoy these types of conversations because you never know what the questions are going to be. So you have people submitting all types of topics, and I just really enjoyed. And also you get to know people. There's different people that are on multiple meetings, and you see some of the same faces sometimes. So you can kind of, get a little bit more under your belt in terms of who's who, and you gain some colleagues along the way.
Great. So what tips would you give to a new member if they were going to try to get the most out of their membership?
I think it's important to get involved in things like the peer-to-peer connect, where you can have live conversations with people who, many of the people on the conversations with me were just as green as I was. So we were all kind of learning as we went along. And then you add in some seasoned people and you really have a good mixture for the conversation. So I find that very helpful. I would suggest that. I also would suggest going to the website and just really looking through all the knowledge, all the information, all the research that NAGDA has already done that you don't even have to do. There's a lot of information on the website. The forums are great. You can go through and you can look at questions that someone has posted that might be the exact question that you're looking for an answer to. So I would say those two things are key to, involve yourself in the conversations, the peer-to-peer, the connect activities, and also the website. And then a third thing would be come to the conferences, and hopefully everything is going to be live again. So we won't have to worry about COVID, knock on wood.
Yes, that's true. We haven't had the conference the last couple of years, and we're very much planning to be in Rhonda's backyard this year.
Yeah.
Well, Rhonda, we really appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions before we turn it over to Josh? Okay, thanks a lot, Rhonda. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Rhonda. I don't know what I have to add. She covered everything so well, which is excellent. But we'll kind of go through it again and make sure you captured everything. A couple other opportunities for how you can get involved with NAGDA, because that's one of the first things we hear when people join is, okay, I'm here. What can I do? I want to meet people. I want to give. I want to get. And so she mentioned one of those is serving on a committee. You don't have to be a topic specialist. Like Rhonda was familiar with the legislative process when she joined that committee. But she mentioned she was there to learn. If you don't know much and you want to just go start learning more about that and how it works, you can sign up there. Any of our other groups, you have a voice and all that. Oh, and Matt's reminding me, I jumped right in. You may not know who I am, but not just because I'm new, but you're also new to NAGDA. So I'm the deputy director for NAGDA. So I work with Matt closely, supporting a lot of the operations and programs, as well as Carly, who you're going to hear from in just a little bit. So thank you, Matt, for reminding us of that. So back to our involvement on everything there. So we mentioned the committees. We have a variety that go throughout the year, and what we're really looking for with those are the plan sponsors. We want your voice in the room all the time. So please don't hesitate to sign up when those calls go out. They'll be happening in June. So you'll see them pretty shortly here coming across, and you have questions about how they work that you don't see in what we send out, please reach out to Carly or myself or Matt, and we can provide you with some more information on what's involved with the committees. Conference is a big one. Everyone keeps mentioning conference, and a way you can get involved there is speaking. That may not be your thing, but if it is, we want you there for sure. And you should also know that you're not alone when you're there. It's a lot of panels, so you're not just up there by yourself. It's more of a conversation, and you may think you're not the expert, but you would be surprised how much you know once you get to talking and sharing your stories and what you have to say for everything. So please, when you see those calls go out, the committee will kind of say what they're looking for. So you're not just starting from scratch, and you can say, oh, I do have something to talk about there. I do want to share, and that's what we want to hear. The 2022 program is set. We'll be announcing those sessions soon, and our 2023 speakers will open in January. So we're a little ways off for that, but if you're going to conference for the first time this year, you'll kind of see the flow of it. If you've been before as a non-member, anything like that, you kind of know how it works. But it's a great way to really give back and get to know people there, because they're going to want to come up and talk to you afterwards and learn more about what you had to say. We also have webinars throughout the year. You may have participated in one of those. Those solicitations will go out, or we might even hear you talk about something, or someone mentions to us that you really have something to offer on a topic. And that would be a great way to get involved. Is there a question? Okay. And then another one that I want to touch on that Matt kind of talked about earlier is we have our fly-in, but there's some other legislative opportunities for advocacy throughout the year. They're a little more targeted, but like he mentioned with Secure 2.0 that's been going through, and we've been working with senators' offices, you may get a request from us to participate in some calls from your congressional office. And like he said, that's who they want to hear from. We can schedule those calls, lead the calls, but really you just being in that room and speaking for 10 minutes makes a huge difference. They want to hear from their constituents. So if you see those come across, please consider it, and we can help walk you through what's involved in that. But your perspective is extremely beneficial, and we take care of the rest. So I say a simple ask, but I know it can be a little intimidating. But I've been on those calls, Matt's been on those calls. It's very, very relaxed, conversational. And then sharing your experiences. That's kind of what we've been talking about along the way here. That really is the foundation of NAGDA, is members hearing from each other, from the people in the field, feeling the pain, feeling the success. So we want to hear your stories, your lessons learned, even the bad ones. That's kind of what sometimes people want to hear the most from. That can be hard to share, but that's where people glean the most to take back and hopefully do better when that situation is presented to them. We talked about speaking earlier at like conference or webinar. If speaking in a large group is not your thing, we do have other avenues for you to get involved. As Rhonda mentioned, the peer-to-peer exchanges are kind of a safe space, small group environment where you're just with other government members, where you can talk about those challenges, offer solutions, and maybe most importantly, build those connections. You kind of see a core group of people regularly get on those. So as you have chit chat before it talks, before it starts, or throughout, you get to know other members in our community. And we do have another one coming up on April 19th. And I believe there's still time to register for that. So if you're free next week, look on our calendar and you can sign up and join us. The online member forums is another place that we touched on. Not only can you ask those questions there, but you can really help others, whether you want to reply publicly to everyone or you want to touch with one-on-one with someone afterwards offline to kind of help them. It's a great way to, I know we all like to be lurkers on those, but it takes the community to prop those up and keep them going. So don't hesitate to post a question there. And more importantly, don't hesitate to respond to somebody because it is a huge benefit to them. And you may not realize how much experience and expertise you have on hand to help them. And Carly is going to show us in just a little bit how we work through those on the website if you're not familiar with them. And last is our leadership awards. You may have seen those calls going out. They are lasting through April 29th. This program highlights the incredible and innovative work from NAGDCA members. It's inspiring to see what people submit every year. We have a committee that looks at those. That's another place for you to get involved, is on the awards committee. And then those winners are recognized at conference. And maybe more importantly, we put together a booklet that is a popular resource of all the winning campaigns and submissions for you to browse anytime. And you can go back and look at old ones as well as the ones we'll have this year at this year's awards program and conference. So I know we've covered a lot with Rhonda before. We covered a lot here. Matt's covered a lot. So I'm going to turn it over to Carly so she can kind of go over how you make sure you stay connected and don't miss these opportunities throughout the year, and then also take advantage of the resources.
Well, I guess you didn't have any time because Friday you did all that, but I'm sure you probably heard about places to buy townhouses and stuff. Because
no, I didn't have any chance
yeah,
to do that. Because what happened was that
And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Carly. Sorry about that interruption, guys.
Thanks, Josh. For those of you who don't know me, I'm sure you have seen my name in some NAGDCA emails, but I am NAGDCA's program manager. So I work closely with Matt and Josh, and then on a few of our committees and work on our conference programming. So do a little bit of everything. So for staying up to date, so as I mentioned, we do send out a lot of email communications. And so if you are noticing that any of those are going to spam or you are not getting messages from us, you may try adding that email address there to your safe senders list. You can also always reach out to me directly and we can try and work through any issues that you may be having. We also post most everything that we send out via email. We post to our website under news and announcements. So you can also keep an eye on that area on the website as well for any new items that you may have missed coming through your email. So next, I'm going to jump over into a browser window and walk you all through just a couple of the resources and tools on the website, and also show you where you can access your member profile and make any updates there as needed. So I will jump over here. And we will start here on the homepage. So our goal kind of with the homepage, at least this top section here, was to pull out some of the most commonly used resources by our members. So there's some quick links here on the left-hand side of the page so that you don't have to dig through that top menu. So most common items that you'll probably use are right at the top here. And then we also have our 2 latest news posts on the right-hand side here, so you can get the latest news just directly from this homepage. So the thing that I always recommend that members do when you come to the website is go ahead and log in. So that will grant you access to all of the members only content, and it just kind of streamlines your website experience. So to log in, you can click on that member login button in the top right-hand corner and then select this button here. You will then enter your username and your password. So your username is typically going to be your email address that's associated with your membership. And if you don't know your username or your password, there are a couple links here where you can get those items. You can also always reach out to us and we can grab those for you or reset them for you on the back end if needed. So once you select login there, you'll get redirected back to the member login page, and it will have a few quick links to a couple of items. So you can jump into our member forum that you've heard us talk about. You can jump to the member directory, or you can click to view your member profile. So we are first going to take a look at the member profile. So this will take you to your individual member profile. This is where you can update your contact information, your name, your title, all of that kind of information is in your member profile here. So you can just select that edit button there, make any changes that you need to, save it, and it will update your record in the member database. You can also, there are a few other options. If you hover over the My Profile tab at the top here, this is where you can upload a profile picture, and that will show in the member directory. You can change your password here, and you can access any invoices that you have associated with your account. So most
That 23
invoices
hours and stuff?
that are going to be associated with your account are for event registrations. So that would be where you could access like a invoice for a conference registration, for example. If you are a primary contact for your organization, you also have the ability to jump into your organization's profile and make a few different updates in there as well. So you can click on your organization here, and this will take you to the organization's profile. So this is where you can make updates like uploading your plan logo, and you can also share some information about the different plans that you offer. So if you haven't gone in and shared the information about your plans, we really encourage you to do so. It's a great way for other members to learn a little bit about your plan. And we will take a look in just a second at where you can then search and access some of that information. So we really recommend that you share the information and keep an eye on it, update it as needed, maybe annually. You can also change the way your organization is listed, the key contact email that's on file, any of the phone or address there as well. The key contact can also access individual profiles from this organization. So you can click there, and this is where you can go to add or remove any of the individuals associated with your membership. So if you have an employee, for example, leave and they no longer need the NAGDA member benefits, this is where you can come to unlink them from the account. You can also see who that key contact is, who has the key contact privileges for your account. You can turn that on and off for individuals. And this is where you can also add new profiles. So for new employees or anyone who is switching jobs, coming in, anyone that you want to have member benefits, this is where you can come to add those individuals. Again, we're also happy to make any of those updates on the back end. If you have a long list of updates that need to be made, you can always send those to us and we can take care of those on the back end for you. So like I mentioned, you can access your profile just directly from that member login page. And next, we're going to jump into the different member directories that we have. So you can access it here. It is also listed under membership up here as well. So a few different ways that you can get to the member directories. And we have a couple of different options that are for different types of members. So we have our general member directory, and that you can search by company, first name, last name, city, state, and that will give you results from all of NAGDA's individual members, both industry and government. We also have a directory just for our government members. We have one for the government member primary contacts and one for our industry members. So a few different options that you can choose from there if you're looking for someone specific that you want to reach out to. We also have, as I mentioned, this plan features directory. So this is where you can search by and access that plan information that we just looked at in the organization's profile. So this is a handy tool to just kind of learn a little bit about who NAGDA's members are, a little bit about plans. So for example, if you want to see all of our members who offer a 401A plan, you can check that box there, scroll to the bottom here and search. And this is going to give you all of the members who have indicated that they offer a 401A plan. And you can then go in, click into these different profiles, learn a little bit more about their plans with the characteristics that they have shared. And you can also access the key contacts information there if you wanted to reach out for more information. So the directories are a great place, like we've talked about, to reach out to specific individuals. But if you have those questions that you want to pose to the larger NAGDA audience, that's where our member forums come into play. So again, you can access them here from the home page. You can also access them under resources up here. So a few different areas to get to them. And as Matt mentioned, we have different ones for different audiences. So we have our open forum, which is visible to all NAGDA members. We have the government forum, which is only visible to government members. We have an industry member forum that's only visible to industry members, which you don't see here because this profile is set up as a government member. And then we have our RFP postings where you can post any open RFPs, and that will get sent out to both government and industry members. And the same thing on the job board. So you can post any open positions there or explore any open positions. So as Rhonda mentioned, you can search through these. You can use a keyword to type in anything that you are looking for specifically. That'll give you a few results from the past posts. And if you're interested in asking a question or posting something for the community to respond to, you first just want to select where you want to post it. So if you wanted to post for just government members, you would click on this one to jump into this forum here. And you can select new topic up at the top here to add a post. We also have the option down here as well. So once you select that, you would just enter a title for your post. You would enter the content of your post here. You also have the ability to attach any files. So that's handy for the RFPs and the job postings specifically. If you want to share a PDF version of an RFP, for example, that's how you would attach that there. And I did want to mention, so this plugin does not automatically add in your signature like your Outlook email would do, for example. So you want to be sure that you sign it with your name and your email address, just so people know who it's coming from. So once you fill in all of that information, you can submit that topic, and that post will go out to everyone who has access to this forum as long as they are subscribed to the forum, and that will go out to their email address. So if you want to receive these posts via email, if you don't want to miss any of them, make sure you come in here and click on subscribe if you aren't already, or if you'd rather not receive them in your email inbox, you can also come in and unsubscribe as well. So like we've talked about, it's a great way to kind of post questions, get feedback, connect with the NAGDA community in between our in-person and virtual events. So we really do recommend that you all take advantage of these. It's a great way to connect with other NAGDA members. Lastly, I'm going to show you our resource library. So again, a couple of different ways you can get to it. It is under resources. It's on the home page as well. So you want to be sure you're logged in, and then you can select this access library option here. And like Matt mentioned, this library contains all of our past conference presentations, publications, award-winning submissions. So basically, everything that NAGDA has put out there is going to be posted in this library. And there are a few different ways that you can filter through the different items. So we have a drop down here that has some predetermined topics, which is how we kind of categorize each item that we put in here. So you can filter by these predetermined topics here. You can also filter by resource type, and these build on each other. So for example, if you wanted conference presentations on the topic of communication, you can select those two items and get all of those results there. We also have the search feature, so you can type in anything there that isn't pre-identified in those drop downs and get results that way as well. So to actually download these items, so you can just come in here, click on the title, and it will give you a little bit more information about the resource. You have a download button to download the PDF that's associated with the resource. And we also have links to recordings for some of our webinars and conference presentations where that's available. So it gives you a little bit more information before you download those items that way. So again, a really great place to just kind of look through and peruse all of NAGDA's great information that we have out there. And I recommend that you look through the rest of the website as well. There's a lot on here, a lot of information to go through. So that's all I had for the tutorial. So Matt, I will turn it back to you and see if we have any questions.
Great. Thanks, Carly. Does anybody have anything before we go? And as you think about it, I'll just reiterate a point that Josh made. We'll have our committee signups coming out soon. There is no expertise needed. So if you're interested in helping with the conference, if you're interested in learning about legislation, it's a really great way to pick up some new skills and bring what you have to the table. So we'd love to have you there. We really love getting as many plan sponsors as we can on those committees. So don't be afraid to sign up. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. Well, with that, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you signing up. As members, we look forward to working with you. Thanks a lot for coming in today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Thanks, Rhonda, for joining us. We hope to see you all in Baltimore.
All right.